Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. In this video we are going to talk about landscape material blends. So that's a specific material that will do the same thing that I did with the mesh painting, link in the description by the way, where I could paint with two different materials into one single asset. Unfortunately, you cannot use that with the landscape. Landscape needs its own blend material in order to have the property. So I'm going to show you how to do that with the Megascans. Actually, with the Megascans, doing this is very easy, very straightforward. Let me show you real quick how it looks like. And this is the end result. I know it looks like it has a ton of stuff. It looks like it's going to be super messy, but it's actually not. It's really easy to build, and I'm going to walk you through it. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need is a sculpted landscape. So I already sculpted some landscape a little bit, and you're also going to need two different materials. You can get up to 3, 4. I haven't got more than 3 materials to be honest, but I know that you can add more than 3 materials in it. But for now, I'm just going to do 2 materials because the rest is pretty much the same. So we're going to go with damp soil and ground forest. That is if you want to follow along, make sure you download those two. And after that, what we're going to do is create our material. So right click and you're going to see material right here. We're going to give it a name. Remember, Unreal doesn't like spaces. You need to do one of these if you want spaces. And now we're going to double click. By the way, if you happen to bump into this video or you're new to Megascans, what I'll suggest is you look at my video on how to do quick landscape for beginners. That's going to walk you through how to take one material and put it as a landscape real quick. And it's going to talk about some of the displacement properties that I'm going to go through in this video. It's just I cannot go too in depth into those displacement properties here. Otherwise, this video is going to be super long. Now back to our material. Once you create your material, you're going to get this right here, but you're going to see that the displacement options are turned off. We need to turn those on in order for us to use the displacement features. Now I'm going to go here, make sure you click on your material, and we just need to scroll down all the way until tessellation. On tessellation, you need to go here and select flat tessellation. All right, that will enable the map displacement properties. You can see that world displacement and tessellation multiplier, which is what we need, are both on, so you can use them. All right, so let's get onto the tricky part. What you need to do is open one of your Megascan materials that you imported. Not everyone has this, especially if you haven't checked your displacement material. So as you can see, it says master default displacement material. If you are not seeing this, or if you're not seeing any of these options, that means that Megascan imported your material with no displacement. So make sure that you take the Megascans and you check the option enable displacement, otherwise it's not going to show. And if you haven't done that, just check that box and re-import your material, and it should come with all this. Now what we need to do is we need to grab this material first, and I'm going to go and you can click this little magnifier glass and it's going to take you straight to where this material is. We're going to double click this material and we no longer need the damp soil. Now in here, what we're going to do from this material is we're going to take some of the instances that we have right here in order to easily build our material. If you go here and you see what they are, it's actually not that bad. They just add some extra properties for you to manipulate. But what I'm interested in is mostly this one right here and this one right here. The reason for it is because this is how the displacement map is done with the Megascan, and I find this to be a great way. Just to go over what this is real quick, is you have your displacement map, and over here it's giving it the treatment of the image. So you can see there's displacement height, there's displacement contrast, all those nice properties that we see when we are manipulating our displacement in the material. And we also have the tessellation part. So we have camera position, absolute world position. All that is going to go into this linear interpolation node, and that's going to go into our tessellation multiplier. The other box that I want you guys to look at is this one, UV controls. And this is what's going to help us with the tiling, because whenever you have a simple texture, simple material, it's going to tile so many times in the landscape that it's going to look terrible. In order for it to look good, we need to mess with the tiling a little bit. So we could construct this from scratch, or we could just take it from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a square, Control C to copy, go back to my material, and wherever you have the mouse, Control V, and I will paste it here. Now we're going to do the same with the displacement map. I'm going to grab all this, Control C to copy, go back to your material, Control V to paste. All right, simple as that. Now, what we need to do for this material to work with the landscape painting, what we need to do is to look for a special node. Now, if you're new to this kind of setting, all you have to do is right click and it will give you this pop-up window for you to look for stuff. So we're going to search for landscape, and this is the node that we want to use. It's landscape layer blend. So we click here. We're going to need several of these, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare this one for our use, and then I'm just going to copy and paste. So what we need to do to this one is we need to create a couple of layers, which are going to be where materials will be stored. So I'm going to open these drop downs. I'm going to name this grass, and I'm going to name the one at the bottom soil. There you go. So we're going to need several of these, but we're going to talk about that later. Now, what we need to do is we need to go back over here. Actually, let me shrink this down. And go back to our surfaces, damp soil, which is the one that I want to use. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to bring all of these. So it's going to be albedo, AO, normal, roughness. You can see I'm not using the displacement. You'll see why in a second. And I'm going to put them all here. You can bring the displacement in here as well. It's just a little bit easier for me to take care of these first and then take care of the displacement. So I'm going to put them all here in a row. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a comment box. A comment box is this green thing that's surrounding all these nodes. That's because it's going to be a lot easier to manage. So I'm going to select all of them, right click on one of them, and you see that there's an option here that's called create comment from selection. Just click that. It's going to create a comment box. I'm not gonna bother adding any fancy colors to it. You can mess with that if you want, but I'm just gonna give this a name called soil. That'll make it easier for me to identify because we're gonna have several of these on the screen. And I'm going to go back and ground forest. This is my grass material. You can select another grass material if you want. I'm going to select all of these. Whoops. So hold control. And I'm going to bring them on here. I'm actually going to bring this down. Put this here. And I'm just going to rearrange this just like the one on top. Just want them to be the same or at least similar so it's easier to see. Okay, draw a box, select them all, create comment from selection, and this is going to be our grass. Technically this should be on top because the grass will go first. This is another good thing about the comment box. Not only your thing is going to be more tidy or tidier, but you can just move all of the nodes at once really easily without having to select them each single time. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to be needing these layer blend nodes. We're going to be needing one per texture sample. So if we have albedo, we have normal map, we have AO, and we have roughness, that means that we are going to need 4 of these. And after that, we're going to need 2 of those for our displacement map. So let's get to it. Let me just do 1. So it's right here. No, it's not really confusing. So from the albedo, I'm just going to plug this in. I'm going to look for the albedo of the soil and going to plug it on the soil. And then I'm just going to bring this over here. We can actually bring them all a little bit closer together. And I'll just plug this in the base color. That's where the albedo should go, in the base color. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy and paste. So we have 4 of these. And we're going to do the same thing with the normals, which is from here to our normal slot. And from here, and it's already on our normal slot. Next, we're going to do, this is AO, it says so right here. So we're going to take out from here and here. Make sure this is AO as well. Yep. Plug it into ambient occlusion. Wow, I can't see. There you go. Ambient occlusion. And let's do the last one. Should be this one. Now I'm using the red channel because it's what's being used on the Megascans, and I'm trying to follow along as much as possible. And the reason why I'm trying to follow closely is because I'm using the same maps they use for their materials. So if it works for them, it works for me. All right, so we have these nodes done. And I'm going to plug roughness in here. Probably plug this one over here. And now it's time for our displacement. For our displacement, I'm actually going to, I shouldn't have brought this node, just delete that. And we're going to bring in our displacement. I usually don't like doing displacement for grass because that displacement looks real bad. Usually you can make it look better by doing a lot of tweaking. I'm just not going to do that here. I'm just going to go and bring in the damp soil displacement. And I'm just going to do from the R over here. And same deal as with the roughness. They're using the R. That means that their maps have a property where you can use the red channel and plug it into all of this, because we are pretty much reusing their nodes. So I'm just going to plug this here. And this is why this node was so far away. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to be taking from the multiply into world displacement and from the linear interpolation into, whoops, the tessellation multiplier. And technically our map is done. You could carry on after this, but I'm going to connect this UV controls just because it's going to make things much easier for me when I'm tiling. So I'm just going to do that real quick. And it has to be done to every single map. All right, at this point, our map is completely ready. Don't worry, don't freak out if you don't see anything right here. This is because of the blending. Usually when you're making a material, you'll see how it works here on the preview, but because we're making a blending material, it's going to look all weird and stuff. So all you have to do is save it. It's going to take a while, so I'll be right back. All right, once we are done with that, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my landscape and I'm going to clear it up. All right, once we are done with that, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my landscape and I'm going to clear it up. And as you can see, there's nothing here anymore, just the assets that I was using. And what we can do is we're going to be using the material that we just built. By the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using an instance, and you're going to see why. If I double click here, this is going to take me to my editor. If I right click and create a material instance, and I double click that instance, it's going to take me to the screen where I can actually mess with the properties. so we can change the tiling and we can change the displacement. That's why it was so important. Okay, now all we need to do is add our material to our landscape. So I'm actually in painting mode. Let me go into, you guys should be here on select mode, select your landscape, and you need to add your material first. So we're gonna go to surfaces where our material is, and we're going to be using our instance. So I'm just going to bring our instance here, and boom, that's it. That's all you have to do. As you can see, it works right out of the box. I'm seeing all my terrain with all my nice displacement. By the way, I'm kidding. Of course, I'm seeing this thing is black. And yours will show in black too, and you don't need to freak out. This is how it's supposed to work. So the reason why this happens is because you created a layer blend material, and you need to tell the engine how to manage those layers. So we're just going to go here into landscape. And as you can see, as soon as you go into landscape, you're going to see that now your landscape has these two materials. So you should be here in paint. And for these materials, we need to create what's called a weight blended layer. So just click this plus sign right here. And let me bring this. So all you need to do is click this plus sign right here. And we're going to do our weight blended layer. So just select the folder, whatever you want to call it, wherever you want to store it. I'm just going to hit OK. And you're going to give it a second. It's going to compile, and you're going to see some changes. There you go. You're going to see that I have my grass material right now. So it's no longer black. And we're going to do the same for the soil. Click OK. And that's it. That's all we have to do. Now, there's a couple of things I like to fix. And you're going to see that this is tiled really, really bad. So the tiling needs to be fixed. That's too much tiling for my taste. So what we need to do is we need to go back to where our instance is. Double click our instance, and we need to activate tiling. What I want to do is, this is a value that I know works, 0.2. And voila, you're gonna see it. That's a big difference right there. It was in 1. Let's turn it back to 1. I'm actually going to turn it back to 1 off screen so you guys can see the difference. So this is 1, really tiled, and this is 0.2. There you go. All right, now that we have our tiling device, I'm actually going to get out of this screen. I'm going to paint a little bit of the soil here. So all you have to do is select the layer you want to paint. And you have some properties here, same as what we used before. You have the strength of the brush. You have the fall off of the brush, which indicates its softness. And I'm going to make it a little bit harsher. And you have your brush size, where you can also increase and decrease with all these, with the curly brackets. There you go. All right, let me get my fall off right. I'm actually going to decrease the size of this. And we're going to start painting. So as you can see, we're already painting. I want to paint the soil all around this area. It's going to go around here, kind of like a track that's running through. Maybe there was a river around here. That's why this is looking this way. And there you go. Now I have two materials inside my terrain. And that was super quick, super easy. But we're not done just yet. I'm going to modify the displacement a little bit, because this looks all nice and dandy, but it actually is really flat. So we need to take advantage of those displacement. I'm going to go back to my instance. And make sure you turn these on. Again, you can watch that video if you want an in-depth thing on how to what these properties do. But I'm just going to go real quick with 20 here, 20 here. I'm going to change my contrast to 0.5. And as you can see, we have some nice displacement right here, okay? Contrast is something that I didn't talk about in the other video. So what I did in the other video was mess with the height, which you can get this result, the same result that I have right here. But what contrast does is If I were to move the contrast, let's actually move it together so you can see what's up. You can see that it makes it a little bit pointier. And what it does is it messes with the coloration of the displacement so you can get a softer result, a softer bump in your tessellation. In my case, this is getting a bit too pointy, so that's why I bumped it down to 0.5. So it's a lot softer. It looks like rocks on mud and all that. So that's why I'm using contrast in this case. All right, that is it for this video. Please leave a comment down below what you want to see next. I've been getting a lot of really good suggestions on what kind of videos you want to watch, and I'm going to get to some of those. I have a bunch of videos programmed. I'm going to also be talking about Quixel Mixer on this channel. So I'm going to go into how to use Quixel Mixer and how to get all those nice scenes. So make sure you subscribe, ring that bell, and stick around for those. Please share the video around. It really helps a lot. And I'll see you in the next video.